healthy consumers might be feeling ill once Obamacare rolls in. According to the Wall Street Journal, those unfortunate folks could see their insurance rates double or even triple. With more on this, Doug Holtz-Eakin, president of American Action Forum. Doug, welcome back to the show. Always good to see you.
Thanks, Jerry.
So how disconcerting is this, that we'll get Obamacare and the people who really get penalized here are the people who've been taking care of themselves, the healthy people? What do you think is going to happen as a result of it with this? And aren't we just switching around the problem?
Well, it's no surprise that rates are going to go up for the young and healthy. The American Action Forum has surveys on this. The Wall Street Journal published on it today. The arithmetic's quite compelling. The more interesting finding is that in a survey, we found that if you raise the premiums for the young and healthy by 30%, 45% of those who used to buy health insurance will quit.
Wow.
Now, that has big implications for this program because the whole idea is you want the young and healthy to pay the bills for the older and sicker. And what they're saying is they're consumers like everyone else, and then we're out of here. Well, then it doesn't work.
Yeah, let me give some examples here so people can see the numbers that you're talking about. So let's say you're a 40-year-old non-smoker male, okay? Today, you'd be facing in a generic kind of plan. It's actually WellPoint we're representing here. $63 a month, and Obamacare, $193, 3 times as much. So you tell me the likelihood that young men in particular are even going to bother with this. They'd rather pay the fee, the Obamacare fine or tax or whatever we're calling it these days.
Everyone thought that somehow through the magic of calling it a fine, saying it was the law of the land to have insurance, that somehow just the consumer part of this would go away. But it hasn't. The young are doing the arithmetic. You ask them the question, they say, no, I'm not going to buy insurance. I'll wait till I get sick. I'm still allowed to buy it. I'll buy it then. I'll just pay the penalty in between. So we're going to see a real different health insurance market if these rate increases come out the way they're planned and if people do the math.
It's crazy. You know, last week we were talking about how Health and Human Services was, talking up the NFL, NBA. They're all going to come out and support this, try to get particularly young men and particularly young African-American men and Latinos to come out for this program, right? Well, today, it doesn't appear to be the case. What's going on here? Can the Obama administration not talk some of the nation's biggest institutions, best known to young men all over the country, to stand behind Obamacare?
Well, we just did the arithmetic. Do you really want to inform them of their choices? I'd say that's a question number one. Number two, you're wading into something that is a lot more than just the so-called good news where, you're going to get insurance and, hey, we'll give you some money, too. No, you're going to have to pay the bills for the older and the sicker. You're going to inherit a debt that the program creates. There's a lot of taxes involved. If you're the NFL or the NHL or any major organization, do you want to be endorsing something that has so many flaws? I don't think so. I
guess they don't, because apparently they're backing away full speed here. Quickly, I want to talk about childbirth for a second. Other side of the coin, we talk about men, let's talk about women.
Of which I'm an expert, Jerry, yes.
Are you?
No.
That's very good, Doug. Well, the big question here is the cost associated with childbirth, and there was a story in the New York Times today really getting into the nitty-gritty of the cost of different tests that are now routinely being advised to young women who are giving birth. Now, I thought under Obamacare we were going to have lower costs. Among the many promises, keeping your doctor, not having an increase in costs. This was one of them, that you wouldn't face these higher costs. What's going on here? Because it seems to me this is even different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
This is a complicated story, more complicated even than the paper suggested. The first thing to realize is that about half of childbirths in America are paid for by Medicaid. Wow. And as you know, a big part of Obamacare's expansions of Medicaid. So that no one thinks Medicaid is a good program, but that's a big chunk of what's going on right now. The remainder, which is really what the story is about, is what's wrong with fee-for-service medicine. Because it's literally, you're saying to doctors, hey, do more tests, do more expensive procedures, and we'll pay you no matter what. And that's the kind of medicine we need to get rid of. Unfortunately, that's the medicine that's embedded still in the practice of Medicare, and Obamacare preserves it.
Well, the more you have government involved in these services, the worse it is, I think, Doug. Thanks for coming on today. Great to see you as always.
Thank you.
Well.